Yeah.
Woo!
He's going to generate some action. Come on, Nathan.
Thank you. Thanks, Anne. Yeah, no rush. One thing I love at any readings is you hear everyone read a different poem, and there's connecting links that run through all of them, and there's different images and sounds and words that all start echoing each other. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much. Firstly, I'm warmed and honoured to be accepted by this community, which is also now my community, and to serve as the next Poet Laureate of Malibu. I'm proud to follow in the footsteps of some incredible trailblazers. So please, before I start, I want another huge round of applause to our previous laureates, including Ricardo and Anne, who are here, John, and the late Ellen Wright. So I'm going to say a few words, conclude with a poem, and then we can talk and eat and drink and mingle and all the good stuff. When I was a fresh-faced 17-year-old, I showed two of my friends from school the first poem I ever wrote outside of a classroom. We stood in my bedroom as I passed them my laptop with an open Word document. As they scanned the page, I stood there like a dog expecting a pat on the head. They looked at each other, then at me, and erupted into laughter. But what was I expecting? A teenage boy showing his vulnerability to two other teenage boys in England, of all places. I was a bit embarrassed, but their reaction struck the match of determination within me. I was gonna be a poet. So little did I know how this brief interaction with my friends, who are now very supportive, was just the first of many adverse reactions I'd receive when the words, "I like to write poetry," tumble out of my mouth. We poets, and perhaps other appreciators of this fine art, spend a lot of time defending poetry to others who say they don't get it or they don't like it. And poetry doesn't need us to defend it, but we like to defend it anyway. So think about it. When we often hear poems recited at life's milestones and occasions, such as this, or at weddings, at birthdays, funerals, and that's when many of us realise the true power that the best poetry contains, an emotionally rhythmic art form that holds within it a mysterious quality that can pluck gold out of the darkest shadow. Language is fossil poetry, Emerson once said, and put differently, every word was once a poem. And words have a magic to them. We recognise this subconsciously in the very language we use every day. Every act of speech is a spell. It catalyses chemical reactions in our bodies, stirs our spirits, and causes us to take action in the world. And a poem is a type of focus spell that, when spoken, we feel the need to lean towards and listen to with extra attention. And we live in a world that persistently snaps for this attention. The blue light of our phones constantly licks up our faces at the dinner table. Ads cut into meditation or sports highlight videos. And we often find it difficult to have a conversation uninterrupted by a buzz or a ding. So poetry asks us to pay attention. When writing it, we must focus on our inner states, what we've experienced, what's happening around us, and what others have experienced. And as we put it onto the page, we may surprise ourselves and realise that we may not always know who we are or who we might become. So whether you're an established or aspiring poet, or otherwise, I encourage you to explore what feels trapped and buried in those small bubbles under your flesh. Release the knot caught in your throat, and pay attention to what might need to be nourished or released. That being said, I hope that you'll attend our events, where you'll have a chance to listen to and share poetry, to write and delight in the hidden gifts that it offers us. I'll be carrying on the fine traditions of caffeinated verse, our open mic featuring special guest readers and an open mic, jubilations, an open-air poetry reading celebrating joy, as well as hosting a new generative poetry writing workshop called The Ripple Effect, and more. And these events are for everyone, so I encourage people, regardless of background or experience in poetry, to attend and engage with the poet inside and the other poets in our community. Poetry is an art form that no one owns and that we all share by the very nature of being human. So I hope to see you all there. And I want to thank my family, including my new family, my wife, Rachel, and the whole community for all of your support. I'll close with a prose poem called The River, and then we can pivot to mingling and refreshments. Turn the page. The River. This is a prose poem. We stand on the banks of Buffalo River, pulled by an invisible rope. Its wet legs rush towards the ocean. We pick out each sound, a drop in a small whirlpool, a fizz against a protruding rock, and against the clay-red slope, a cottonwood branch thumps, spins, and barrels off. I think she would have loved it here, you say. As you speak, I think of how sounds that exit the mouth enter the other person as a beginning, become them in the middle, and in the end, change them. You place your hand in mine. When I was a child, smearing blue finger paint across the edges of a white sheet, she told me to love is to be in flow. Perhaps that is why the very utterance, love, sends the heart into rapture, signaling the body to mirror that precious exhalation. We make eye contact. Each go to speak at the same time, then look away again. We have two barrage dams inside ourselves. One controls the floodgate of giving, the other of receiving. To know each other, truly know each other, we must allow the water inside every cell of us to burst in both directions. I'm scared, you say. Scared that every word I speak will turn her into someone she isn't. The Middle English specken, which comes from Old English spican, means to utter words articulately without singing. Too much melody, and we may sing along, where urgent molecules pressed from our lips will kiss each other in the hanging air, and not enough melody, and we are hinged inside the earth's spirit, thrown about in her wild jaw. She always wanted a house on the water, you say. Tears well in your eyes. You let go of my hand and look at where the river is coming from, and then where the river is going. I go into my bag and pull out an urn, which contains what we promised we'd scatter 6 weeks ago on a body of water, along with the envelope containing the letter you wrote. With the hurrying beneath us, we each hold the piece of paper with one of our hands. I hope she'll be able to hear this, you say. We start to throw ashes against the wind, into the rushing. You inhale. May Mother Ocean take you in her arms. Your voice cracks like a rock slicked by endless aeons of river. Oh Mother, you start again. May the ocean take us all. Thank you.
Woo!